Hi, this is Michelle Maslowski, Managing Director at Carter, and you are listening to EdUp Accelerated Excellence.
Welcome to EdUp Accelerated Excellence, a podcast for the advancement of educational excellence and equity. I'm your host, Jacob Easley II, PhD, PMP, and we are reporting live from the National School Leaders Conference in Orlando, Florida, powered by the National Association of Elementary School Principals. And our guest today represents one of the state associations for elementary school principals and supervisors in Texas, the Texas Elementary Principals and Supervisors Association. He is Todd Nesloney. Todd, welcome to the show. Would you please state your name and greet the EdUp Accelerated Excellence audience in the way that is befitting of your great stature in the state of Texas?
Oh man, well, my name's Todd Nesloney, like you said. I'm super excited to be here. I have served in many roles in education, from an instructional aide to a teacher to a principal, and now I get to work for the Texas Elementary Principal and Supervisor Association, as well as the traveling and speaking and consulting and things that I do in addition to that. So get to do a lot of fun things, but I get to work with a lot of people doing incredible work, and I'm blessed for that.
Thank you, Todd. So Todd, when you thought about coming to this conference this year, what was top of mind for you?
Honestly, one of the best things is getting to reconnect with other leaders from around the country. This idea of leadership is one that can be very alone oftentimes, and you may find other great leaders around you, but I'm always the believer that the more people that I can surround myself with, the better that I am. And so this gives me that opportunity to take it off of social media or out of the group chat and put it in person to connect with these people and not only spend time at these incredible sessions learning all this content, but also to have those one-on-one conversations and to build that connection even deeper.
So what does a director of culture and it is culture and strategic leadership in the state of Texas, what does that role look like, or what does one do?
Well, we are an association that has almost 6,000 members and only about an 11-member staff. So we all have titles, but we do a lot of different things. My biggest roles are I help organize and plan the conferences that we do and all the PD, but I also make sure and train the region leaders. So we've got 20 regions in Texas. Every one of them has a leadership team for TEPSA. And so I'm in charge of training them, building them up, helping them reach out in their areas and connect with others. And it's a fun job to get to have.
So since your job is to help develop leaders, and those existing principals or assistant principals that are currently in roles, or would that also include folks who are aspiring to go into leadership?
Yeah, so our membership base is principals and assistant principals in the pre-K-8 world, but we also have superintendents and supervisors, that's the S in TEPSA, and we have an aspiring administrator membership category. So I really work with all of them and kind of growing them just however they choose to come and be a part and volunteer. We take them in and I get to help train them.
Oh, that's wonderful. So it's like a pipeline.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so let's segment that if you don't mind. Currently, what are you finding to be the greatest needs for those who are aspiring, those who are currently in a role either as an assistant principal or principal, and what is the greatest need for those who are the supervisors or principals and assistant principals, often superintendents or other district level folks?
I think for aspiring, the greatest need is just more exposure and experience. Sometimes in that leadership role, you can be afraid to let some things go or to give people opportunities. And I think the more that aspiring administrators can see really what the role of a principal and an assistant principal is like, the better it is for them to have that idea. As far as people in the assistant principal and principal role, the needs are great. And they are varied, and it's changing all the time, whether it's understanding budget better, whether it's dealing with discipline, special ed, culture. There's a lot of variety of needs. And in a state as big as Texas, we see that all over the state the needs vary. So what is the issues in East Texas may be very different than South Texas. And so we have a lot of just really making sure we have a variety of professional development opportunities, but also connections that we can build between people who are doing things really great over here and help these people over here. When it comes to supervisors and their biggest need, I think it's just understanding how to communicate the needs as great as possible to those who are trickled down underneath them, but also how do I support people that in a position that's so easy to get burnout in? And so the more variety of ways that we can help them support those people that they're working on and supervise them in a way that grows them as well is beneficial.
So Texas is a huge state.
Yeah.
I'm honing in on this idea of, you talked about those who are currently in principal and assistant principal roles may have different needs based on region. What are some of those differences? And if you could sort of draw us in on what may be causing those needs. And some of those might be sensitive areas, so as appropriate as possible.
But, in the state of Texas, we've got a lot changing with the way funding is happening and the expectations of different curriculums and changes from our Texas Education Agency. And so I think a lot of that's navigating that well in a way that it doesn't feel like I'm kicking people out or I'm really upsetting these people over here. How do I deal with parents when they are really bothered by a change? And so it's just finding ways to support that. But as far as, the differences aren't always even regionally. Sometimes I may be in an area where discipline is a really big issue. And so I need help and support because the type of students that I serve, I don't know what to do to help our teachers help them. Over here, they may have discipline down, but they're really struggling with their bilingual program or with their special ed population. And so how do I really bring in the correct resources? How do I train people in a way that makes sense and has them utilizing those resources as well? And so it's really just having those conversations and figuring out where people have needs and then building those bridges and connections with people who are already solving those problems.
And what successes are you seeing so far from
Well, the biggest success for me is building connections. I think the more leaders that you can have in your realm of influence, that you aren't just following on social media, but that you're truly connecting with, because every single one of us brings something fantastic to the table. And a lot of people that I meet, oftentimes they very much feel like my stuff is basic. My stuff doesn't really matter. I can't share with others. Like they're so amazing or they're doing this or that, or look at their school. And no matter who I meet, they're doing something amazing. And so when you can get out of your head and really start understanding, like, I bring something to the table. Let me bring my gifts and combine it with the gifts of others. And then what you find is more and more people begin to share. And then you're like, oh, y'all have tried that curriculum? Let me ask my questions here to see if it would be right for us. Y'all have solved that problem or y'all brought up your attendance rates. What did you do? We're not figuring anything out. And those connections, I think that's where the strength lies. You can go to professional development all day long. Real power comes in being able to have those conversations and learn from each other on a more consistent basis.
I like this idea that you talk about helping people to realize their own successes sometimes, because I think, well, this, in education, unfortunately, there's a lot of negative press. It's even gotten to the point that some teachers, for the first time probably in history, you're hearing this more often than not, and even some folks who won awards as teachers are telling young folks don't go into teaching. So I haven't heard that in terms of the principalship, but I think that's important to be able to help people realize that you are doing wonderful things. So how is it that an organization like yours might be able to amplify publicly some of those successes?
I think it really comes down to using every resource that you have. And so utilizing all the social media, utilizing video, going out and having conversations in public. We are also a association who advocates at the Capitol for educators and leaders. And so I think that's really important to have an association out there that has your back and that is really trying to really push our field forward and not allow conversations to get hijacked by those who are not in our business or who have no idea what really happens. In the end, I think we really control the narrative. And I think as educators, sometimes we've dropped the ball in really sharing all the good things that we do. Sometimes because it feels like bragging, other times because it feels like my stuff isn't good enough. But I think if we had more of us out there sharing the great things that are happening, you'd begin to see that conversation shift. Unfortunately, what you see on social media is the negativity is what get the clicks. The negativity is what gets the comments, complaining about stuff. And I think that's really hurt us in some ways when I can find 1,000 videos on Instagram or TikTok where it's somebody complaining about a parent or an administrator or an expectation, and very few about, look at this amazing thing I did. It killed today. I'm so proud of this. And I think when we begin to own our own genius and own our own special gifts, that's when you see things change and other people are like, ooh, I'm attracted to that because that brings me in. It doesn't push me away.
So sorry about that. So we're day one of the conference. What has been your takeaway so far?
I think for me, I've gone into 2 sessions so far, and it's just been fantastic. Love that not only are there people who are everyday administrators out here sharing their great ideas, but there's also people from the national stage that I can check out too and go that I haven't seen or heard from maybe in years or maybe at all. And so that variety of topics is really important to me because I know that the needs I have aren't always the needs that others have. And so I'm always looking for I want to struggle picking a session because there's too many good ones to pick from. And I've already had that with one time. I was like, I don't know which 3. There's 3 that I want to go to and I can't pick. So that's a good problem to have.
And because part of your role is professional development, and I know it's early yet, but what are you taking back to TEPSA?
I think for me, it's just that continued importance of having those moments in a conference as well that aren't just about the learning. The keynotes are great. The sessions are fantastic, but continuing to have that piece in there that allows for collaboration, that allows for you to have that connection time where it's not just session after session after session after keynote. But I love that NASP does something very similar to what TEPSA does, is that we have times built into the schedule where we want you to go to the exhibit hall and just hang out with other people. We want you to go and network during this time. Like, we don't want to monopolize all your time. We want to give you time to connect. Because the old adage was they can do that after the conference is over. When it's over at 4 or 5, they can go connect then. Well, sometimes people just want to go and be. They don't want to have to people even more after they've been peopling all day. And so I think building that into the conference has been really powerful.
So in an earlier episode, kicking off this series for the conference, Andy mentioned that this is summertime, but principals are more busy now than they have been in the past. So it's not time off, as some folks have historically come to understand the role of principals and teachers. So what does professional development look like during the summer for your organization, but gearing up for the next academic year? What will be the focus around how you support and develop principals and supervisors?
Well, I think everybody meets their needs differently. And I think, especially as an association in Texas, we really take that into consideration. For some, they want to consume the information through a book. Others want to listen to a podcast. Some want to go in person to events. Some want to see a webinar. And I think if you're really going to meet the needs of all those people, you really have to be offering that variety. It can't just be one thing like, well, I provided this. You didn't want to come, too bad. That's what we did. And so our conference is always in the summer too, at the beginning of June. And it's a fantastic time to end the year, go have that debrief time to calm down from the year and then get all that learning in. So then you can spend the rest of the summer thinking about next year. Obviously, I make it very important that administrators prioritize time off during the summer. I think it's so important. You could, as an administrator, work all summer because there's so much to do. But I think when you prioritize that, I want to get work done, but I also got to value my time and my health and getting out and away too. And this is the best time to step away for a little bit before all the staff comes back and wants you all the time. But I think, yeah, just figuring out there's a variety of ways to meet people's needs. And are you offering something for each of those styles?
And before you get to thinking about fall of 2026 going into 2027, do all of your schools have summer school in the summer, or are there select schools that have summer school?
I would say most have a summer school. So it just kind of depends, but I would say most do.
Okay, I was just because I think it varies by, of course, by county,
Yeah.
by city.
And most of them are done in June, so nobody has summer school in July.
Oh, okay. Well, it's hot too in Texas.
Yes.
So thinking about fall 2026 going into spring 2027 and next year's conference, which will be summer 2027, there in the great state of Texas. What are you looking forward to in terms of how you're going to support
I really look forward to giving them a variety of voices to learn from. I think that understanding that also not only are our learning styles different, but also the people we learn from is different. Somebody may want somebody who's loud, wild, full of energy. The next person may want PD that's very calm, and I can consume it that way. And so I think for me, it's providing a variety of those voices for people, but also in a variety of mediums. I love doing our TEPSA Talk podcast. I love making sure that we're advertising different books that people could be reading. We are offering webinars. We're offering in-person PD. We have meetups, people to just hang out and meet after work in their regions. So there's lots of different variety, just so everybody can find a place that's right for them.
And for those who are not connected with the association, what words of inspiration would you give them?
My thing is I don't care what state you find yourself in, you should be a part of your state's association. And it may be like, if you're in Texas, TEPSA may be the place for you, or you may find that it's a different association. I'm not even one that's like, you have to be ours. I just believe that you have to be a part of a group, period, because of the advocacy that happens, the legal protections that you get from being a part of that. To me, it's like, why would you not be a part of something? As a teacher, I was always in a teacher program, always had one. I was part of ATPE and different ones in Texas. When I became an administrator, I was like, of course, I'm going to move into the administrator one. For me, the best fit was TEPSA. They had the vibe I wanted, they had the learning I wanted, and had the connections that I wanted to start building in my professional life as well. And it's been nothing but greatness.
Well, Todd Nesloney, I want to thank you tremendously for this opportunity to learn with and from you here at EdUp Accelerated Excellence, where we advance educational excellence and equity. Recorded live at the National School Leaders Conference in Orlando, powered by the National Association of Elementary School Principals. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for listening to the EdUp Accelerated Excellence podcast, and we would like to share an opportunity for educators to contribute to our XE listening tour. This week, take time to listen to a community member regarding their educational excellence and equity experience, because we believe that by listening, we unlock the engine for powerful educational transformation. Share your insights via voicemail at edupxe.com, and your comments may be shared on air with the podcast. That's the XE listening tour at edupxe.com. Thank you for engaging with EdUp Accelerated Excellence, a member of the EdUp Experience network of educational podcasts. This episode was recorded live at the National School Leaders Conference, powered by the National Association of Elementary School Principals. Join us in Denver, Colorado in 2027. Registration will open soon. You can find this and other episodes on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Radio, YouTube, and other outlets where you listen to your favorite podcasts. If you like this episode, don't forget to follow us and share within your network. To leave a comment or suggest a guest, contact us online at edupxe.com.
We want to hear from you. If you have feedback on this or other episodes, or would like to nominate a guest, contact us online at edupxe.com, where you can leave an email or a voice message. That's edupxe.com.